makyuke tukdan dageye tenyerme chikto jingi Om Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Sangye chedan tsoge chanam la chancho pardo dani kyapso chi dagi jinso gibe sonam gi drola pinchra sangye druparisho Sangye chedan tsoge chanam la chancho pardo dani kyapso chi Dagi jinso gibe sonam gi drola pinchra sangye druparisho Sangye chedan tsogi chonam la chancho pardo dani kyapsu chi Dagi jinso gibe sonam gi drola pinchra sangye druparisho In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge unto enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. In the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, there is one passage, this text written by Shantideva, this great master for around 15 centuries ago. And there's a passage in which Shantideva explains one metaphor that is given in the teachings of Buddha, in which it says, even though it's not possible to cover the extension of the whole earth with leather, it's possible to cover the extension of the whole world by covering our own feet. In the moment we put the good shoes on, it's like if we have the whole extension of the earth covered. If we try just to cover the earth around, it will be endless and we cannot cover everything. But instead, by covering our own foot, we can actually cover the whole extension of the earth. So one of the meanings of that is that we cannot make the world perfect. We cannot change each and every person and change each and every situation and so on. But we can change the way how we relate to it. So for instance, normally, when we get nervous, when we get angry, if there is something that upsets us, normally when we have like these reactions of aggression and anger and sadness and so on, mainly related to other people's actions and situations, do we have the thought of saying, oh, I am angry because you did this and that person said that and this happened in this or that way? Normally, yes. Most of us, we would say, I don't want to be angry. I don't like being angry. If I am angry, it's not my fault. It's because you did, you said, because happened this, because happened that. Okay? So somehow we act just like as if we were a victim of the world. I am a very good, nice, sweet, kind person. But if you do what you are not supposed to do, or if you don't do what you are supposed to do, then another part of me can come out. Somehow it's like bringing in and saying, for me everything is fine as long as things are the way how I expect them to be. But what happened is that, can we actually solve everything? Can we change everything? Can we go there and fix every situation and make that everyone acts as we expect them to act? No. Even if we force one situation and we make it change that situation, nice. And then there is another one. If we look around us in the world, how many situations are there that we do not agree? How many things are there that we think that it should be different and we don't like it, and so on? Immense number of things. So, the only way how it's possible is by actually changing the way how I relate to these situations, and not by changing the situations themselves. And one of the things that is necessary for that is to develop an attitude of humbleness, of humility, in which we have the humility to accept interdependence, because very often our own anger and resentment is coming from what? From the fact that things are not the way how we think they should be. It's like, my father doesn't act as a father as he should be, my mother didn't do what she should do as a mother, my brother, my husband, the wife, or whoever, my son and daughter are not doing what they should be as sons, as they should be doing as sons and daughters, and so on. And sometimes when I say this, people say, but shouldn't a mother be doing that? I don't know. What I know is that your mother acted in accordance to the causes and conditions that she had, as the result of the whole complex interdependence, just as I am doing and you are doing. And who am I to say that this should be in this way and that should be in that way? All that I know is that things are as they are because causes and conditions are created in this way. So when we say this shouldn't be like this, if it is, it's because it should. What I can say it would be better if it would be different. All right, then what can I do in order to interact in a way to help it to be different? That's good. It would be better if you would not act in this way. Okay, how can I interact with you so you stop acting in this way? But you are what you are, I am what I am, as a result of all the causes and conditions that were created through all our lives. Okay? But now, if we look at the moments of anger and resentment and so on, what actually makes us suffer more? The actual situation, the actual fact, the actual action of the person, the actual word of the person that normally lasts maybe 10 seconds, 1 minute, whatever, no more than 5 minutes normally, or the resentment that we keep, and the sadness and the anger that we keep for whatever time. What is actually harming us more? Most of the times is the resentment and the anger. But there is also another part. In relation to others, we have no control whatsoever on the behavior of other people. We cannot control that. We can try, we can advise, we can be kind, we can try to do, but finally each one is responsible for his own action. So, from our side, we can deal with the way how we relate to situations and people by developing wisdom and also by developing compassion and by being able to heal these resentments that we keep on. Okay? Because it's very painful when we keep on resentment because that day that person did this and that time that other thing happened and that other time you did and I was supposed to do and I didn't do and I was supposed to happen in this way and it didn't happen in this way and that time you knew it was like this and finally you did in that way, but how could that have been, and I was just a child and you were, I don't know. And we bring on and we keep all this pain going on and going on and going on, and sometimes for years and years and years and years of our life. Okay? I believe each one of us, on our own level, with our own life history, have our own resentments, our own aversion accumulated into one thing or another. Okay? So two things. One, to get angry is actually quite stupid. Sorry to put it this way. Okay, because it doesn't solve anything. We know it very well. But the main point here is to talk about resentment. Because when we keep resentments and we keep the aversion and we cultivate it, then we get angry much more easy. Maybe there is nothing really strong happening, but because we have all the accumulated anger and resentment, something small trigger the whole thing out. Okay? So for our own well-being, we need to cure the resentment. We need to cure these things that are accumulated within us. And luckily there are ways to do that. And the practice of tonglen is one of the ways that helps us to deal with our resentments and the pains and the aversions that we have accumulated within ourselves. Also because there is one very clear statement for me, which is normally we think that we suffer because we enter in contact with objects of aversion. In other words, we suffer because we enter in contact with situations that we don't like, with situations that are not as we want them to be. But the actual truth is that we do not suffer because we enter in contact with objects of aversion. We suffer because we have aversion of the situations and objects with which we need to enter in contact with. It's a completely different way, actually. Okay? So in the moment that I still keep thinking that I suffer because I enter in contact with the objects that I don't like, I'm going to continue to try to change the world and put a ladder in the whole universe. In the moment that I understand that I suffer because I have aversion of the objects and situations and people that I need to enter in contact with, okay, then I need to change my aversion. And then I need to do something about that. Okay? And this is where the practice of tonglen also comes into. Okay, so now let's see how we can apply the practice of tonglen into this. When applying the practice of tonglen into dealing with our own resentments and anger and so on, one of the important ways of doing that is that when we do the practice of tonglen, as we have done this morning and we have explained yesterday, it is like we take the suffering of others upon ourselves and we transform it by eliminating our own selfishness at our heart, and we give to others our joy and the happiness and peace in the form of light and nectar towards others. Okay? But we need to be careful not to do this in a way with an idealized sort of love, in which we say, I take the suffering from all sentient beings and I give the happiness to all sentient beings because I love all, with exception of that 5 people that I really don't like. This doesn't work. Because there is a danger of entering into an idealized form of love, which doesn't have name, which doesn't have faces. So normally, where do we need to start practicing tonglen? With what are called the 5 near objects, which is we start practicing tonglen with our family, with our friends, with the people we relate in our daily life, such as people in our work and other people that are part of our daily life, with the people towards whom we have acted kindly and they have acted violently towards us, and towards the people to whom we don't know why, but we have aversion of them. We call karmic aversion. We simply don't like them. These are called the 5 nearby objects, okay? And these are the situations in which we start practicing the practice of tonglen. Otherwise, we just keep a generalized, all sentient beings, and I take the suffering from the little kids that are suffering in the other side of the world, where is the war, and so on. Beautiful. But it's not going deep. Okay? Where we really need to start dealing with it, it's with those that are near to us. And from those that are near, then we can expand to everyone else. So we start practicing tonglen by visualizing and taking from whom? The people from our family, friends, people that we deal daily, people that we like, people that we don't like. But those that are around us. And from that we expand towards all the others. Okay? And within this context, one of the ways how the practice of tonglen is very useful. It's not so easy. It's not complicated at all, but it's not so easy. No? Very often the simple things are not so easy. Okay? So what we do basically is we choose one person to begin with. Not many. One person. It can be someone from our family. It can be a friend. It can be someone that we met one day and something happened and we have some sort of pain inside and some resentment. Can be a partner, can be an ex-partner, whatever. Okay? We choose a person towards whom we see that we still have this bad feeling, like this inner knot inside, this resentment. We are not able just to look to the person and say, I love you. It's difficult. Okay? So, what we do is that we visualize the person in front of us. And then, as we inhale, we take the sufferings from that person. Suffering is not only suffering, it's the sufferings, the sicknesses, the negative karma, the mental defilements, anything that is negative from that person, we take upon ourselves in the form of dark smoke. That we inhale, it absorbs in the black mass at our heart, making it weaker. And then as we exhale, we give light and nectar towards the person, giving joy, love, satisfaction, peace towards that person. Okay? One important issue also is that the fact that we give love to someone, the fact that we develop love towards someone, doesn't mean that we agree with the person. Because some people have difficulties doing this because we may think, oh, how can I take away your suffering and how can I give you love and well-being after all that you have done to me? Just as because you did something wrong, in the moment that I love you, it's like if I agree with what you have done. That's wrong. It's not like that. It's not because I love you that I need to agree with what you do. I can love you completely and I can still think that you are very wrong. So we need to make the distinction between the two. Because I see sometimes talking to people, when we talk about this subject inside developing bodhicitta and all of this, sometimes I see people commenting and saying, no, but I could not love that person. The others, okay, but that person, no way. And I just ask, why? Because he did all these bad things, And why? But still, why not? The fact that I love someone that did terrible things doesn't mean that I agree with what the person did. Doesn't mean that I'm saying what you did was right and I accept it in this way. But we have this difficulty, yeah? And normally, when we talk, very often we have like some images of some public figure, people, or someone of history, and then we say, okay, that's the most worst person in history, and how can I love that person? Okay. This is just something personal, but for me it's a bit strange. How can we generate so much aversion of someone we never saw, we never met, we don't know really what happened, how happened, what, and so on, but anyhow, that's another thing, okay? But the main issue is that the fact that you have done something really terrible towards me, let's say, or towards my friends and my family and so on, this doesn't mean that I cannot love you. And most of all, it doesn't mean that by loving you, I agree with what you have done. I don't know, it's clear this, right? So, in the moment, and when we do this practice of tonglen, having in front of us the person towards whom we have aversion, towards whom we have resentment, we do not enter into the judgment of what happened. We do not enter into saying, oh, what you did was right or was wrong. Oh, I know you did this because you were in this situation or that. We don't try to justify anything that happened in the past. We don't enter into the judgment and into the justification of what happened. We simply look, take upon ourselves the suffering, and give joy and happiness. That's all. Okay? And if we have strong resentment towards ourselves, which sometimes we are strange enough for that to happen, okay, then we take from ourselves. We take the suffering from our own self from the past, and we give happiness and well-being. Okay? But if we focus on one person specifically, I think we all have one or two situations where we have a little bit resentment here or there. We all may have this type of, I hope not, but I think we all have. So we can focus on one specific. And then when we train ourselves into that, it's somehow like in the beginning it's really tough inside, like straight. And then as we do it, slowly it melts, Until we are in front of the person, okay, I love you. And then it helps to take away that resentment, which hurts ourselves a lot. Okay? So, it's simple. Not easy because we need to be very sincere with ourselves. It's not just like making something superficial. But at the same time, it's not something that we can do only once. It's not a therapy, but if we would call it a therapy, we would say one session is not enough. Okay? At least 10 sessions. Okay? But if we do that slowly, we will see that it makes a difference. And we don't need to force ourselves into anything. Just go there, look at the person, remember, you suffer. I don't want you to suffer. I take upon myself your suffering. I transform it, and then I give to you happiness. We just do that. Simple as that. Okay? But if we are able to start doing this with 1, 2 persons, if we go into the individuals, then it becomes much easier to expand that into others. If I'm able to do that with the person that has been treating me so badly, why can't I do with others? Then, from 1, I expand to 2, to 3, to 4, to 10, to 20, to 100, to infinite. No? Because when we talk about limitless love, it's not the love that has no limit of number of people. It's the love that goes beyond the limit of selfishness. It's when we are able to love the other going beyond, transcending the I and the my. I love you because you exist. I wish you to be free from suffering because you suffer. It doesn't matter who you are, what you did. That's limitless love and compassion. So we start to develop that by training with specific situations. And in the meantime, we help to heal our own resentments and pains that we keep inside ourselves. Okay, I think it's quite clear, right? Okay. So I would say now, let's do a short meditation with that intention together. Okay? And as we did this morning, when we do the meditation, we visualize Guru Buddha in front of us, which symbolizes all the holy and positive aspects. And then we request the blessings in order to have the strength to be able to take the suffering upon ourselves. And then to give happiness and joy to others. Okay? And remember one thing, by giving our happiness and joy to others, we are not losing anything ourselves. So, we just look at a person and take upon ourselves his or her suffering and give towards the person joy and happiness. And remember that whenever we take upon ourselves the suffering, it goes to the black mass of the heart and it makes us weaker. It eliminates our own negativity. We have this exchange actually. Okay? So again, just to remember, we do not need to enter into the merit of why and how, what happened, what didn't happen, and this and that. We simply take upon ourselves the suffering, the negativities, the defilements, and everything from the person, and we give towards the person happiness, joy, well-being, and peace. Okay? Our shoulders are relaxed. Our head is slightly forward. Our mouth is relaxed. and our eyes are slightly closed, looking downwards. We are aware of our own breath. Porgiamo l'attenzione sulla sensazione alle narici dell'aria che entra e dell'aria che esce. In the space in front of us appears Guru Buddha, in the aspect as our Guru, inseparable of all Buddhas, to whom we ask for blessings. Locho sampo pa gyu trashi pa tuche tempe tinle yarngo da pelge drolo tsampe zeprache palden lame shabla solvade. Om Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasane Karma Uta Varda Nyeshri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum. Om Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasane Karma Uta Varda Nyeshri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum. Om Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasan Uta Varda Nyeshri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum. The space in front of us, we visualize someone to whom we have aversion, resentment, some sort of pain accumulated. Lama ke Trinchen Tsawe Lama ke Lama ke Kyabne Kundu Lama ke. Dal cuore di Guru Buddha si emanano raggi di luce che vengono al nostro cuore, portandoci le benedizioni e dandoci la forza e la capacità di prendere su di noi e trasformare le negatività, e dandoci la forza per poter dare amore, gioia e pace agli altri. Lama ke Trinchen Tsawe Lama ken kyamne kundu lama ken. Lama ken, trinchen tsawe lama ken, lama ken, kyamne kundu lama ken. At our heart, we see a dark black mass, which is nothing more than our own selfishness, anger, fear, aggression, attachment, ignorance, and so on. We observe the person in front of us. We look at his or her eyes. And we see as he or she suffers, we wish to be free from suffering. As he or she wants to be happy, we wishes for the happiness. As we inhale, we take all the suffering, sicknesses, pain, negative karma, mental defilements, all negativities upon ourselves in the form of dark smoke that enters through our nostrils and absorbs into the black mass of the heart. And as it absorbs into the black mass of the heart, it weakens it. As we exhale in the form of light and nectar, we give love, peace, and joy to this person. As we inhale, and exhale. We do not judge. We simply take upon ourselves the suffering and we give happiness and joy. Gradually, the person in front of us becomes free from any sort of suffering and negativities, in a deep state of peace and joy. The black mass at our heart diminishes, gets weak until it is completely gone. And we also experience a deep sensation of peace and joy. Guru Buddha comes towards us, enters through our crown, joyfully sits in our heart, as our body, speech, mind becomes inseparable of the body, speech and mind of Guru Buddha. Our mind expands, and we experience infinite inner space, a deep sensation of peace and joy. We rest our mind in this deep state of joy and well-being, in this deep state of peace. As we keep the awareness of our breath and this deep inner state of peace, we dedicate our merits for the peace and love in the mind and heart of each and every sentient being. Jancho semcho rinpoche ma ke panam ke gyurchi ke pa nyampar me payang kongne konto pelwar sho chetson lame kutse raptenchi namkar chinle chochur ge padang losan tempe drume sasumgi Drove musel tatu ne gyurci Nimo delle tsendele Nime kuyan delekshin Nientsen taktu delekpe Koncho sumke jingilo Koncho sumke ngodrubotsol Koncho sumke trashishon. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness. So, normally, whenever we explain any practice of meditation, the practices of meditation normally are divided into two parts, the practices, which are called how to practice during meditation and how to practice between the sessions of meditation. So what happened is that what we have explained yesterday and this morning now is basically how to practice tonglen during meditation, but there is also the instruction of how to practice it in between the meditative sessions, okay? So, in a simple way, putting it in very few words, without entering into many details right now. Also because those that would like to know this practice in more details, we have explained it in more details in the last course that was given in December, beginning of January, okay, where all the 7 points mind training were explained in more details. Anyhow, what we do into it is that normally, whenever we have in our daily life moments of pleasure or moments of suffering, we have the tendency to react to these situations in a selfish way. Which means, when there is a moment of pain, of suffering, what do we want in that moment? We are worried about our own pain, or we think about others? Our own. When we have a moment of pleasure, where is our mind? Taking care of ourselves, my pleasure, I want to keep my pleasure, or I want to share with others and I want to give to others? My own pleasure. So what happens is that it's possible to change that, okay? And one important thing to understand also into this, which I'm not going to go into details now, but it's also important, is that when we talk about loving others, this happens in a way which is not abandoning oneself, okay? We are not like taking away the attention of ourselves and not of ourselves. What we do is that we all, for example, have a very strong wish to be happy and not to suffer. So if we just look to our own attitude of wanting to be happy and avoiding our own suffering, and we take that same attitude and we simply expand it towards others. The same way that I want to be happy, I also want you to be happy. The same way that I don't want to suffer, I also don't want you to expand towards others. We don't stop wanting happiness to. What we do is that we expand that same attitude. So when we talk about the attitude of bodhicitta, we're not talking about something that is totally disconnected from our own reality right now. We already have it. We just need to redirect it. We all have this strong wish not to suffer and this strong wish to be happy. So what we need to do is we need to simply expand it towards others. What we do is that the same way how I don't want to suffer, I take that same attitude and I expand it towards others. I also don't want you to suffer. The same way that I want to be happy, we take that same attitude and we expand it towards others. This is what we do. Okay? So we apply that in our daily life. In any moment that we have a difficult moment, for example, a situation of pain, what we do, instead of thinking only of ourselves, we think, may I eliminate the suffering of others by eliminating my own suffering. Like, for example, if I have a headache, may I take the pill or whatever I do to eliminate my own headache. May by eliminating my headache, may all other sentient beings that have similar pain and headache, may they also be free from their own pain. So we use the moment of pain in order also to open our heart towards others. We do the same thing with pleasure. If I have any pleasure, from the pleasure of drinking water to any other kind of pleasure, and we see something beautiful, it doesn't matter. We don't need to feel guilty to experience pleasure. What we do instead is we open our heart and we say, may everyone else, starting from the people I know to expanding to everyone that I don't know and all sentient beings, may everyone experience the same pleasure that I am experiencing right now. We dedicate for everyone. And if we do this, we are actually practicing tonglen between meditations, and every moment of suffering, every moment of pain, every moment of difficulty is an opportunity to open our heart and develop bodhicitta. Every moment of joy, of happiness, of well-being, of pleasure, is an opportunity also to develop bodhicitta, to develop the mind of love and compassion, altruism. So this is wonderful, no?